I was a kid. I didn't know who my daddy was, and my parents were scared to tell me that I had been adopted in the womb. I was at the I was at the wedding, 5 months along. My mommy was 5 months pregnant in 1956 when my parents got married on November 10th, which was actually my birth dad's birthday. How wild is that? I met my birth dad when I was 40 years old, and I discovered that his birthday was the day that my parents got married. How wild is that? So I was this kid, and hidden from me was my actual daddy roots. It was hidden. It was hidden. Who my daddy was hidden. And then my mom had a supernatural experience, and she got to speak in the little heaven language, the language of humans and spirit beings. And that was hidden from me too. And it's called an empowerment, that surprise language that's given as a beautiful little gift when you ask for the Holy Spirit. Go ahead, ask. Say, have mercy on me for all of my bad behavior and foolishness. Jesus of Nazareth, God of the universe, please put your spirit in me. You just ask that. The sweet one wants to empower you. Anyhow, so I have my daddyhood hidden from me. I have the supernatural visitation of God hidden from me, because the churches that my mom was in were like, oh my gosh, okay, now you know Jesus is coming to your heart, but just don't tell anybody, because some churches do that heaven language talk, and our churches don't, so that'll actually scare people. So just be confident and just don't communicate about it in church. So she didn't talk about it for 35 years, and I didn't get told. I was 4 years old when she got her anointing. But here's the bottom line. I was a kid. I was 13, 14 years old. I had discovered a cache of porno mags in the basement of my house. Sunshine and Health. And I was in the body hunger, pleasure lockdown, because there had been spirits around my biological father and around my mother that operate in the most friendly chase after pleasure way, disregarding the marriage bed and the safety and the covenant. So I'm this kid, I'm 13, 14 years old, and all of a sudden I have this motivation that cares about the one person that called me hero, somebody good. The strongest, most loving words spoken to me. You're my hero. My father was afraid to look at me in the eyes because he had this major thing hidden from me. My mom was afraid to look at me in the eyes because she had had incest in her early life, and she was a little bit nervous about family interactions. So I sort of had this isolated heart spirit, and somebody said, you're my hero. In some measure of time after that, I felt absolutely motivated to buy a little ring and give it to that person who really felt like my person. I have a person who's my person. If the service of the single peoples had been around my mother's incest problem, if it had been around the surprise conception of me, if it had been around the early life of my mother and father, and if it had been around me wanting to declare not some kind of sexual arrangement, but that's my person, which actually is a feeling that young people have that can cleanly and properly grow into a marriage. Yeah, okay, marriage is an awful scary thing. It's not. If God is your friend, oh my gosh, you can raise children that are motivated to move to Istanbul and live there for the rest of their lives because they got visions and dreams when they were a kid. And they're a human being that grows and becomes an amazing life beyond you, because God is allowed to be totally present, and the operations of the peoples around you are allowed to be real and moving and honest. So because there was no service of the single peoples who have the time to listen to the family problems and care for the family, that's the essence. They were the psychologists and the servants and the soul nurturers, as designed by Jesus for the first hundreds of years. Not monks and nuns, but favorite aunties and uncles who have the time to listen and walk with God and get pictures and come back and give you guidance and prophetic word. You know, the hottest miracle workers and the best prophetic word people are the ones who go off on their own and just find the needy one. Learn the story of Heidi Baker. She went without her husband to sit in the scary alleys of Mozambique when it was a total machine gun shoot 'em up country, starting to learn how to speak Mozambican Portuguese from the little kids on the street. What is this? What is that? She doesn't care about life anymore that much because all of her pleasant performance stuff as evangelism wasn't fulfilling and the church was kind of falling apart. So I'm speaking about these things that are missing from the church that just pours out information, and that are missing from the church atmospheres that are doing such fine outreach through miracle signs and wonders and all kinds of other ways. There's, the Father, Son, and Holy Information Church. There's the Father, Son, and Holy Miracle Signs and Wonders Church. But the teaching of the 12 apostles and the putting together of how we function as a community, organism, tribe, as designed by Jesus, is really amazing stuff, and it's missing. So there I was in my little kid life, not even having any kind of desire, to latch on to this girl, this friend of mine. And I had nobody around me to actually look in the spirit and share and guide and say to my parents, now this one, is illegitimate conception, and he's never known his father, and he was robbed of the information about the Holy Spirit. It is logical for him to desire to have one who feels like his own, that is his beginning new family. He is a child, but he is a man on the inside, growing to be a man. And with the service of the single peoples, I would not have suffered. My family lineage would not have suffered the way that it did. And I beseech you, I ask you to study this thing, understand it, and figure out how to start manifesting it. I'm telling you, if you are an American and you own a home and infrastructure, begin by taking two people that are clearly full of God, as Roland Baker says. The bottom line is just be full of God. And Ed Stube said, well, as far as I've seen, the best thing to do is to get a bunch of people together, get some people together, and start praying, and do not stop praying until stuff starts to happen. Keep people in prayer until the supernatural starts moving in around you. And this is what it takes. We have so much infrastructure and such few people that we're frustrated with one another about all of our infrastructures, and we have to run away from them and take vacations. Rather, take a flip side vacation and draw others in to your space. Whatever, put a bunk bed or 2 cots in the basement. Get people that are willing to live austere and simple, who have the sparkle of eternity in their eye, and are willing to even admit all of their faults, every kind of human fault, and maintain their purity with you, and allow them to be the service of the singles. Allow them to be the special weapons and tactics. Allow them to be the order of daily prayer. Allow them to be the funky outreach on the street and side-by-side outreach on the computer. Do you know that when you do outreach with 2 people side-by-side on one computer, you can get some wild stuff going? Research. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk to me. All the best to you. Peace. Please rescue the young people who have intentions about who their person is. Don't push it off as puppy love. Don't allow them to just embrace the wishy-washy world of, you know, try people out and see what kind of pleasure you like, all that kind of stuff. It's just a waste of time. Help, 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 help. Help this world by being efficient. Jesus of Nazareth's teachings are not goofy. Study the Didache, teaching of the 12 apostles.